I never imagined I'd be sharing something like this, but I'm desperate for clarity because this situation is driving me insane. My parents sold my possessions without my consent, claiming they needed money and that it was just useless clutter. Here's how I turned the tables, and I need advice on whether I'm justified in feeling so betrayed. It all started with an uneasy feeling that something wasn't right. I just returned from a 2-week business trip last night. At first, everything seemed fine. My parents welcomed me warmly, asking about my travels, and Mom even cooked my favorite pasta dish. But when I stepped into my old bedroom, something felt wrong, like the space had changed in a way I couldn't immediately pinpoint. I've been staying with my parents to save for a down payment on a house. Yes, I know how that sounds, and I keep most of my belongings in my childhood room. The space felt oddly sparse. It took a few minutes of scanning the room to realize what was gone. My entire collection of vintage video games, built up since I was a kid, had vanished. We're talking rare systems, special editions, and titles I'd spent years hunting down. The shelves where they were proudly displayed were completely empty. Initially, I thought maybe Mom had tidied up and moved things, as she sometimes does. I checked the wardrobe, under the bed, even the attic, nothing. My pulse quickened as I realized the collection, worth at least $15,000 at a low estimate, was nowhere to be found. Some pieces were one of a kind. I went downstairs to confront my parents, trying to keep my cool. Their response floored me. Mom barely glanced up from her tablet and Dad just shrugged, saying, "Oh, we sold that old junk. You never use it and we needed the cash." Like it was no big deal, as if they'd tossed out expired food. When I explained how valuable those items were, Dad scoffed. "Nobody pays that much for outdated games. We got a couple hundred for the lot. You should be thankful we let you live here rent-free at your age." I pushed for details. When did they sell it, and why not tell me? Mom finally looked up and said, "We didn't think you'd care. You don't play with them anymore, and we had some urgent bills." Their dismissive attitude made me suspicious. I asked about these urgent bills, and they got cagey. Dad snapped that it wasn't my concern, and Mom suddenly had to check something in the kitchen. I returned to my room and started looking closer. That's when I noticed more missing items. My coin collection from my late grandfather? Gone. The rare baseball cards I'd saved since junior high? Missing. Even my high school trophies and certificates were no longer on the walls. The more I searched, the more absences I found. I started taking pictures and listing everything I could recall. My girlfriend came over to help, as she's familiar with my room from her visits. Then came the bombshell. While we were cataloging, she was browsing local online marketplaces and found listings for my stuff, posted just last week. Multiple listings, different items, all under a random account. The photos were clearly taken in our garage. I recognized the shelves in the background. They didn't just sell my things, they waited until I was away on my trip to do it. The listing timestamps confirmed it. They started selling the day after I left. I'm staring at pictures of my childhood treasures sold for pennies, and it's gut-wrenching. These weren't just games, they were memories. That special edition console. I worked 2 years to afford it. The rare games, some were gifts from my brother before he moved overseas. My grandfather's coins were his final gift to me before he died. I'm at a loss. My parents act like I'm blowing this out of proportion, but they essentially stole thousands of dollars worth of my property and sold it behind my back. When I showed them the marketplace listings, they got mad, saying I should be more sympathetic to their situation, whatever that means. I've started moving my remaining belongings to my girlfriend's place, but I'm paranoid about what else they might have sold that I haven't noticed. More importantly, I need to understand their real motive. Their vague talk of urgent bills feels off. Am I crazy for feeling this violated? Has anyone dealt with something similar? Should I pursue legal action or try to find the buyers? I never thought I'd be in this mess. Update: thank you all for the responses to my last post. Your advice and support helped me organize my thoughts and plan my next steps. A lot has unfolded in the last few days, and every answer I uncover just raises more questions. I began by listing every item I could remember owning. My girlfriend helped by looking through old photos on my phone that showed my room. It's surprising how much you overlook until it's gone. We compiled a detailed inventory and started contacting marketplace buyers. Some buyers actually replied. One person who bought my special edition console was genuinely sorry after I explained the situation. He said my mom seemed anxious during the sale, constantly glancing around and rushing him out after he paid. He felt something was off but couldn't resist the low price. That's when it hit me. They sold everything for far less than it was worth, likely just to get quick cash. Here's where it gets strange. My brother visited after I filled him in and he didn't seem shocked. We went for a drive and he finally confessed what he'd known for months. Our parents have a gambling problem, not casual bets, but serious losses. He'd noticed money vanishing from their shared account. He's still on it for emergencies, but they brushed it off with excuses about home maintenance or medical costs. "They've been acting off lately," he said. "Dad's been taking unexplained trips to the city and Mom's been covering for him. I thought they'd sort it out," he added, looking guilty. "I should have told you earlier." I spent the next day digging. I learned they'd sold other things too. Mom's heirloom jewelry, Dad's golf gear, even antique furniture from our grandmother. Then I checked my bank statements and found 2 attempted transfers to their account, flagged for verification. They must have used my saved login from their computer last month. When I confronted them about the transfers, Dad lost it, not in anger but in a frantic, pleading way. "You don't get how hard this is," he kept saying. "One good win and we could have replaced everything." Mom just sat there, staring at her lap, then admitted, "We didn't want you to know. We thought we could fix it before anyone found out. Your dad just needed one more shot." I reached out to a family friend who's a lawyer. She confirmed what many of you suggested. What they did was illegal, even if I live in their house. She's helping me draft a demand letter, but advised trying to resolve it within the family first, given the circumstances. The hardest blow? They sold my grandfather's watch, which I'd kept in a safe deposit box. They somehow accessed it. That was the moment I felt something break inside me. This wasn't just about money anymore. I've been staying at my girlfriend's place. The house feels different now, not just emptier from missing items, but heavier, like the air itself is tense. Mom keeps acting like everything's fine, asking if I want dinner or talking about her gardening plans. Dad avoids eye contact. My brother thinks we need an intervention, and he's probably right, but I'm still reeling. I've tracked down a few more buyers through the marketplace. I'm meeting one tomorrow who has my old card collection. He seemed sympathetic over the phone, but we'll see. It's bizarre having to buy back my own things. Mom just texted, begging for one more chance to make things right. But I found bank statements showing cash withdrawals going back months. This wasn't a one-off act of desperation. It was a pattern they hid until they ran out of their own things to sell. I need to protect what's left of my assets while somehow helping my parents. I never thought I'd be juggling both. Update: 2 things have spiraled since my last update. I'm writing this from my girlfriend's apartment, where I'm now living full-time. The past week has been a whirlwind of legal advice, family drama, and shocking revelations that flipped everything upside down. My brother found Dad's laptop open one night while visiting them, not snooping, just there on the table. It displayed a spreadsheet detailing their gambling debts, far worse than I'd imagined. It listed regular casino visits, online betting accounts, and loans from unknown people. When my brother showed me, I felt a strange relief, not because of the numbers, which were terrifying, but because it finally made sense. The secretive trips, the defensiveness, the need for fast cash, it was all there in stark detail. I decided to confront them one last time before going legal. My brother and girlfriend came for support. The conversation started calmly, with Mom making tea like it was a normal visit. But when I brought up the spreadsheet, Dad's demeanor shifted. He lunged for the laptop, knocking over his tea. His hands shook as he tried to clean up, muttering, "We were so close to winning it all back last month. One more bet and we'd have fixed it." Mom nodded like this was perfectly reasonable. That's when I saw how far gone they were, lost in a fantasy of a big win that would solve everything. Then something bizarre happened. During our talk, their phones kept pinging with notifications. Dad's leg bounced nervously as he glanced at his screen. My brother later checked. They were alerts from betting apps, popping up mid-intervention about their gambling addiction. I had my lawyer friend send the demand letter the next day, listing everything they took, with estimated values and proof of ownership where possible. It arrived as I was moving out my remaining belongings. Mom acted like nothing was wrong, offering to help pack and asking if I wanted leftovers. Dad was holed up in his office, whispering on the phone. Then things got stranger. Mom showed up at my girlfriend's place unannounced, sobbing, promising they could fix it with a little more time. She brought a box of my old school awards she'd found in the attic, the same ones they'd sold weeks ago. When I called her out, she admitted they'd been trying to secretly buy back some of my things. She revealed Dad's strategy. He was convinced he'd cracked a foolproof betting system. They'd used the money from my stuff to fund it, believing they'd replace everything once it paid off. They'd even made a list of better versions of my items they planned to buy me. My brother arranged a meeting with a gambling addiction counselor who explained that this behavior, selling family heirlooms, chasing the big win, is classic addiction. Yesterday, a casino manager called. My parents had added themselves to the voluntary exclusion list hours after the demand letter arrived, but Dad tried to sneak in anyway, claiming he'd left something behind. The legal process is underway. My friend helped file paperwork, and we're working to recover what we can. Some buyers, after seeing my posts in local collector groups, have offered to return items. One even refused payment, saying he couldn't imagine doing this to his own kids. But here's what keeps me awake. We found out Mom took out a second mortgage on the house. The home I grew up in, owned for 30 years, is now drowning in debt. They didn't just gamble away my things, they're risking their entire future. I'm meeting a family counselor tomorrow. Dad's still resistant, but Mom's showing small signs of seeking help. She called last night, asking about support groups, not making excuses for once. My brother just texted, Dad's trying to sell their car now for one last chance. We're running out of time to stop them from losing everything. Sometimes, legal action against your own parents feels like the only way to save them. Final update: it's been 3 months since my last update, and things have resolved in ways I never anticipated. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't what you orchestrate. It's what unfolds when you let the truth take over. The legal approach worked, but not as planned. The demand letter got their attention, but an anonymous tip to their creditors, someone else's doing, changed everything. Dad had been borrowing from shady lenders and someone spilled the beans. The resulting chaos was oddly a blessing. When those creditors came knocking, my parents couldn't hide anymore. Mom broke down and shared their full financial records. They hadn't just sold my things, they'd been liquidating anything valuable for months. Dad's meticulous records of every sale, bet, and loss weren't for accountability, but because he believed his system would work if he tracked it perfectly. I shared those records with my brother and our lawyer friend. Then we uncovered something bigger. Dad had used Mom's identity to take out loans without her consent. She'd signed documents thinking they were for home repairs. When we showed her proof, something in her shifted. The house was indeed mortgaged, but Mom hadn't signed those papers. Dad had forged her signature. Instead of rushing to press charges, I helped Mom document everything. Every forged document, every unauthorized loan, every stolen item. Then I did something I'm still conflicted about. I used Dad's own records against him. His detailed spreadsheet of bets and losses was sent to every family member, friend, and legitimate creditor. The family's reaction was explosive. Relatives who'd lent money thinking it was for emergencies were furious. Dad's carefully built facade crumbled overnight. But the real turning point? I helped Mom file for divorce. She'd been manipulated and used as a pawn in Dad's addiction. Seeing the forged signatures and hidden loans opened her eyes. I ensured she had every document, every piece of evidence. When the divorce papers arrived, Dad showed up at my girlfriend's apartment, not angry but pleading. He insisted Mom was making a mistake, that his system was about to pay off. That's when I showed him the security camera footage of him forging Mom's signature on the mortgage, captured by his own home surveillance he'd forgotten about. The look on his face was unforgettable. Even better, some buyers of my games and consoles, after seeing my posts in collector groups, shared screenshots of their chats with Dad, where he'd sold items for next to nothing in his desperation. Those became evidence in the divorce and criminal proceedings. Mom's now living with my aunt, attending therapy, and working with a financial advisor to untangle the mess. The house will likely be sold to cover debts, but she's protected now that we've separated legitimate loans from the fraudulent ones. Dad's in a cheap motel, still betting, still convinced his next win is coming. He even tried to pitch his system to my brother, who sent him a link to Gamblers Anonymous. I've recovered most of my belongings, either through returns or buying them back. The items I couldn't get back, they're just objects. What matters is Mom's safety, Dad facing consequences, and the truth being out. My girlfriend thinks I should feel guilty for ruining Dad's life, but I didn't ruin anything. I just exposed what he was doing. He dismantled his own life, bet by bet. The family's split. Some think I went too far, others wish I'd acted sooner. But seeing Mom smile again, hearing her say she slept soundly for the first time in years, that's enough. Dad texted this morning, saying he misses us and wants to make things right. Maybe one day, but for now, I'm focused on helping Mom rebuild and ensuring this never happens again. Final note. Dad's obsessive records are now part of a case study for gambling addiction counselors, helping other families spot the signs early. That, I suppose, is its own kind of justice.